On Christmas morning, I inquired, "Is there a present for me?" My mom declared, "We don't purchase items for ungrateful people." My brother then sneered, "Santa purposely bypassed you." I simply nodded and then departed. The very next day, he appeared, sobbing, "I need $80,000 to save my company." I just smiled. Go right to Santa then. What do you do when the very people you've spent a lifetime trying to please turn on you? Imagine Christmas morning, surrounded by family, and then realizing your name is completely missing from all the gifts, only for your brother to show up the very next day, not for an apology, but to demand $80,000. This is the story of how I finally found my voice and said no. My name is Evan. I'm 32. For most of my life, I was the quiet one, the reliable older brother, which in my family meant I was the guy you could pretty much ignore until you needed a ride, a login, or a signature. I fix printers for a small hospital. I reset passwords. I'm the one who brings cupcakes to birthdays because someone has to. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment that still smells faintly of coffee, even after I've scrubbed every mug. I have a small savings account I'm weirdly proud of. I run 3 times a week in cheap, squeaky shoes. If you asked my mom about me, she'd say, "Evan is steady." My brother Luke, he's 29, he'd say, "Evan's fine." But if you asked me, I'd tell you I've spent most of my life taking the background role. I was the extra, the guy off camera holding the boom mic. It wasn't always like this. When we were kids, I was loud. I played trumpet. I tried out for everything. But somewhere in middle school, I learned what worked. I started making myself small. So mom wouldn't worry. So dad wouldn't sigh. So Luke could shine. Luke was sunshine. He had the kind of smile that got him an extra scoop of ice cream. He could miss curfew by 2 hours and just get a casual, "Be careful," while I got grounded. Nobody even checked if I had a curfew. Our house. Holidays were performance art. Perfect stockings, matching pajamas if mom could afford them. "We make memories," she'd declare, which always translated to, "We can't afford this, but we'll pretend." She loved pretending. It made her eyes bright. It made my dad quiet, which she always mistook for contentment. He wasn't content. He was doing math in his head. Points on the mortgage, cents per gallon, how many extra hours he'd need to pick up. I watched him. I became good at the background chores. I wrapped gifts with sharp corners. I learned how to fix burnt gravy. I labeled the boxes that lived in the garage, a second attic crammed with forgotten projects. I was good at the things that helped the show go on. Luke, he just entered at the last minute and made the joke that made everyone laugh. He's not cruel, he's charming. In our family, most days, that's the same thing. I'm telling you all of this so the next part makes sense. It was Christmas morning. Our living room looked like a catalog. We'd done the whole dance the night before. Carols, Coco, the one present at midnight rule. I slept on the couch because my old room is mom's craft room now, which is basically a glitter-filled closet. I woke to mom humming and the TV replaying a fireplace loop. We gathered. We smiled. We handed each other packages with our names spelled half right. Luke nudged me, like we were still kids. "Ready?" I looked at the pile. None of the tags said Evan. I cleared my throat. "Is there a gift for me?" I asked as gently as I could. Mom didn't even look up from the ribbon she was untangling. "We don't buy things for ungrateful people," she said, like she was reading a calendar quote. Luke laughed. A short, sharp sound. "Santa skipped you on purpose." I felt my face go warm. My hands did that thing where they feel completely empty, even when they're not. I just nodded. I walked out of the room, grabbed my coat, stepped outside into the stinging air, and stood there until I could breathe again. The very next day, there was a knock on my apartment door. It was Luke, eyes red, shoulders hunched. He didn't say hello. He just said, "I need $80,000 to save my business." And I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because something finally, brutally, clicked in my head. Right to Santa, I told him. My family has a script. I've known it so long I could recite it in my sleep. Act 1, Luke tries something big. Dad says, "Be practical." Mom says, "Dream big, baby." I say nothing, because I'll be asked to fix whatever breaks, and you can't fix a thing you just insulted. Act 2, it goes badly. Money is short. A bill arrives in red letters. Mom says, "We'll figure it out." Dad says, "We already figured it out 10 times. I say, "I can help." That's the only line I get. Act 3, I help. I move money I've saved $10 at a time. I skip a dental cleaning. I work a Saturday. I bring over groceries. I click pay now on someone else's login. The music swells. We pretend nothing happened. Credits roll. Next season starts. I wish I were exaggerating. I could give you numbers. When Luke was 21, he bought a used BMW with a laughable warranty because image matters in real estate. I co-signed, just for a year. He missed 3 payments. I paid $1,800 to keep that car from being repossessed in front of Mom's house. When he was 24, he opened a juice bar with reclaimed wood counters and chalkboard menus. He did it in a neighborhood where winter lasts 9 months. I put in $5,000 because we're family. He texted me 6 times in one day with smoothie names. The bar closed after 11 months. The chalkboard menus are in Mom's garage under a quilt rack. When he was 27, he decided to go digital. He needed a website. I built it after work, for free. I paid the domain for 3 years because he forgot to set up auto-renew. He never updated the site. It still says grand opening soon. Through all of this, I felt like a coat rack for everyone else's plans. It was never one huge thing. It was 100 little things with my name on the receipt. "You're so good with money," Mom would say, which in our house just meant, "You're good at handing it over." Even the Christmases had a ledger. There was the year Luke got a gaming console, and I got a sweater on clearance with the security tag still attached. I used wire cutters to remove it while Mom said, "Oh, did they leave that on? Silly store." There was the year Luke got a temporary loan of my laptop for college. I drove to community college at night and did essays on the campus library computer because that temporary loan lasted 2 years. My dad wasn't a villain. He was just tired. He'd pick up double shifts and come home sagging. He'd see Luke's grin and Mom's bright eyes and just shrug. "Let them have this," he'd say to me in the garage, handing me a trash bag of wrapping paper. His tone said, "I can't fight 2 wars." Sometimes he'd press a folded 20 into my hand like we were spies. "For gas," he'd whisper. By last year, I'd learned to recognize the early tremors. Mom would start saying, "Your brother is under a lot of pressure." Dad would start rereading bills. Luke would get louder, tell bigger stories, say things like, "We're almost there." Last summer, Luke started a consulting company. The pitch changed weekly. "We do marketing," he told me in June. "We do DDC," he said in July. "We run pop-ups," he said in August, wearing a baseball cap with a new logo. He kept saying, "we," but I never met anyone else. He rented an office. It was a room over a nail salon with thin walls and a window that stuck. He posted photos of whiteboards filled with arrows and buzzwords. He messaged me, "Look at the traction," and sent me a screenshot of an email draft. I watched the credit card pile grow. How did I know? Because my phone number was the backup on his Stripe account, just for verification. He'd asked for it once, in a rush. "I'll change it later," he'd said. Later never came. I'd get text codes at 2:11 a.m. and 3:06 a.m. for security confirmation. I stopped sleeping on Fridays. In November, Mom called me 3 times in one day. "Your brother is doing something big," she said. "It's his shot." She sounded like a sports announcer with the volume stuck high. "He just needs time." "Time or money?" I asked. "Don't be negative," she snapped. Then, softer, "We might need to move some things around." "Mom, I'm not a bank." "Your family," she said, as if that answered everything. In early December, Luke texted me, "Coffee?" He picked a place where the chairs wobbled and the coffee tasted like burnt almonds. He sat, too cheerful. "I'm close," he said. "To what?" I asked. He grinned. "To making it." "How much is it?" "It's not about money," he said. Then, 2 breaths later, "It's just the runway is tight." "How tight?" He looked at the ceiling like the number lived up there. "Like 80. 80 what?" "1,000, he said fast. "It's bridge funding. Short term. I've got meetings." I stirred my coffee slowly. "Luke, I don't have $80,000. He waved his hand dismissively. "You do. In equity in your 401k, and, adult stuff. You're good at adult stuff." I pictured the line items in my budget. Rent, utilities, ramen, the $30 I tuck into savings twice a month. I pictured the old tires on my car. I pictured the night I spent on the phone with the bank last year disputing a charge he made on a card my name was accidentally on. "No," I said. He blinked, as if I'd spoken Swahili. "What?" "No," I repeated. "Don't be dramatic," he said. "Mom says, Mom says a lot of things. I cut him off. We didn't speak for 2 weeks. Then Christmas came. You know that part now. The missing name tags. The line about ungrateful people. The laugh. The cold air, my hands empty. That night, alone in my apartment, I lay on the couch and stared at the ceiling, counting the tiny dots in the paint. 173. I couldn't stop thinking about how Mom said it so smooth, like she'd practiced. I couldn't stop hearing Luke's laugh. The next morning, a text. You home? Then the knock. He stood there, circles under his eyes, a damp chill on his hoodie. I need $80,000 to save my business, he said. He didn't even say hi. He started with the number, like we were picking a song on a jukebox. I said, write to Santa. He flinched, then forced a laugh. Okay, funny. But seriously, it's life or death for your LLC. I asked. For my future, he said. I stepped back so he couldn't see my living room with the thrift store tree and the 2 gifts I bought myself. Socks and a cast iron skillet. Luke, I said, and felt something new rise in me. Not anger, not even sadness. Just a hard, flat calm. No. He pushed past me without asking, hands out as if he might catch his own fall. He paced. He touched the back of my couch like it contained answers. I have vendors calling, he said. I have a lease. Payroll. People depend on me. You told me you didn't have employees, I said. I have contractors, he snapped. Semantics. He turned to me with the face he used on teachers and waiters. Ev, you're my brother. You know I'm good for it. I thought of the times he'd said that exact sentence while holding something of mine. Keys. Cards. Promises. I thought of the 7 temporary loans that had turned permanent. I thought of the 12 times he'd called me after 11 p.m. with the word urgent in the first line. I thought of the 36 auto-renew charges I canceled that were never mine. I sat down. I'm not doing this, I said, my voice level. I won't liquidate my retirement. I won't take out a loan. I won't co-sign anything. I won't be your safety net. He stared. Why are you being cruel? I'm not being cruel, I said. I'm being clear. He snorted. So that's it. After everything I've done for this family, what have you done? I asked. Not to hurt him, but to set the board correctly. His face went red. Mom needs me. Dad needs me. I keep the energy up. I pay the bills when they can't, I said quietly. He waved a hand. Money isn't everything. Then why are you here? I asked. He sat finally, on the edge of my coffee table, elbows on knees. I miscalculated, he said. Couple of contracts got delayed. Investors ghosted because of the holidays. It's optics. If I can just cover January, I'm good. 80,000 is January. He hesitated. Plus some late fees. I let the silence hang. My phone buzzed with a calendar reminder. Dentist at 2 p.m. I'd already rescheduled twice to ride along to Luke's big meetings, where I sat in a lobby holding his backpack while he practiced his smile in a reflection. Ev, he said, softer now. I'm asking you because I trust you. I used to think that was a compliment, I said. Now I think it means I'm easy. He flinched like I'd slapped him. Mom said you'd cave, he muttered. There it was. The word, cave. I stood, walked to the kitchen, poured water I didn't need, came back. My hands were steady. Luke, I said, this isn't about revenge. This is about closure. He rolled his eyes. Okay, Instagram therapist. I'm serious, I said. I'm closing the account. All of it. The loans, the favors, the late-night rides, the logins. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at how I taught you to treat me. You taught me. His laugh was sharp. You chose this. I did, I said. I said yes so many times. You thought my yes belonged to you. He stood and pointed at the door. I could find someone else to help, he said. But he didn't leave. You should, I said. Find a bank. Find a mentor. Find a therapist. Find a job. He opened his mouth, closed it. His eyes were wet now. Whether from anger or fear, I couldn't tell. You're really going to watch me fail? He asked, his voice small. I've watched you fail 100 times, I said. I just stopped catching you. He shook his head. Mom will be furious. She already is, I said. I can't keep buying my way into being her son. He took a step toward me, then back. So, nothing. Nothing, I said. I won't give you money. I won't lie for you. I won't co-sign. I won't be your emergency contact for a business. He laughed once, ugly. You'll regret this. I might, I said, but I'll regret staying more. He looked around my small apartment like it had betrayed him. I can't believe you, he said. I can't, I said. He walked to the door, hand on the knob. He paused. Last chance, he said, like a movie villain. Not for me, I said. He left. The hallway filled with his footsteps. The door clicked. I locked it. Both locks. Then I sat on the floor and let the quiet settle over me. Like a heavy blanket, I finally chose. The first thing that happened was the phone. It became a small, buzzing animal. Mom called 8 times before noon. I let it ring. She left 3 voicemails that started sweet and ended sharp. Honey, call me back. I'm worried. Then, Evan, this is serious. Your brother is drowning. And finally, I did not raise you to be cruel. Dad texted once. Call your mother. I could hear the sigh between the words. Luke sent a wall of messages. I'm outside. Answer. You don't understand the stakes. This is on you. Then a photo of an overdue notice, cropped to hide the company name. Finally, fine, forget it. I put the phone face down and went to the dentist like a normal person. I sat in a waiting room with old magazines and a fake, dusty plant. A kid across from me tried to wink and did it with both eyes. The hygienist asked, So, how was your holiday? And I laughed out loud, in a way that made her step back and check her sharp tools. When I got home, my voicemail inbox was full. I listened to exactly one. Mom's voice was tight. You think you're better than us? She said. Then, softer, we needed you. She hung up without saying bye. I made rice and eggs and ate standing up because the couch still had his shape in it. I washed the pan immediately. I threw away the egg carton, even though one shell could have fit. I wiped down the counter twice. Day 2. Dad called. Not Mom. She's upset, he said. I know. You could have handled it differently. How? I asked quietly. Not dramatic. I told him no in my own apartment, I said. No audience. He sighed. He's under pressure. So am I said. I've been under pressure since I was 15. He didn't argue. He just said, Your mother is crying. Like that was a chess move that cornered my king. I'm not responsible for her tears anymore, I said. I was surprised at how light the sentence felt leaving my mouth. On day 3, Luke posted something vague on Instagram. A black square with white text. Sometimes the people closest to you do you the dirtiest. He added a broken heart emoji. Mom commented, 3 red hearts. A cousin I hadn't seen in 5 years sent me a DM. Y'all good? I didn't answer. I blocked Luke for 24 hours. Not forever, just long enough to hear my own thoughts. The silence felt like stepping out of a loud bar into winter air. The practical fallout started, as it always does, with money. My bank sent me a fraud alert. Did you authorize a $1,200 charge to Marketing Hub Pro? I shook my head before I even finished reading. The card was an old one Luke had borrowed for a deposit 2 years ago. I thought I'd closed that loop. Apparently not. I spent 47 minutes on hold listening to a loop of piano music. I spoke to 3 people. I said, No, that's not my charge, for times. I said, Please remove the backup verification number, twice. I said, Yes, I'll wait, 5 times. I wrote down reference number 84419 on a sticky note and stuck it to my laptop. A small, boring adult battle. I won that one. I checked my 401k just to see. The number wasn't big, but it was mine. I imagined the 80,000 Luke wanted to pull through it like a siphon. I closed the tab and locked my phone with a passcode I hadn't changed since 2019. I changed it. I changed the login on my email. I changed the PIN on my debit card. I clicked Remove Authorized Users and saw Luke's name there like a ghost. I clicked Remove. A tiny, dumb thrill went through me. One less hook in my skin. Day 4. Mom showed up at my apartment. She didn't text first. She never does. She knocked 5 times, fast. I opened, because that's what I do. She swept in like a weather system. Coat off, scarf still on, eyes bright with purpose. You're coming with me, she said. To where? I asked. To the bank, she said. We're going to fix this. No, I said calm. She blinked. Don't start, she said. I'm tired. I'm finished, I said. She went very still. Your brother is drowning. Luke learned to swim by having people pull him to the surface, I said. He never learned to float. Don't be poetic, she snapped. I'm not, I said. I'm done. She stared at me, then tried a different tactic. Her voice softened. Baby, we're family. I know, I said. And family is supposed to be safe, not a credit line. She looked around my apartment, just like Luke had. You live like a monk, she said, trying to insult me into compliance. I live like a person who pays for his own life, I said. She sat, rubbed her forehead. We raised you to be generous, she said. You raised me to be obedient, I said, before I could swallow it back. Her mouth opened, closed. Is that what you think of me? I don't think of you as anything, I said, and then corrected myself. I think of you as my mother. I love you, and I'm not doing this anymore. She tried the final card, tears. If your father dies, she always jumps 10 steps ahead. How will we survive? You'll budget, I said. You'll downsize. You'll stop pretending Christmas needs a soundtrack and 6 credit cards. My voice didn't rise. It didn't shake. She stood so fast the chair scraped. Who are you? She asked. Me, I said. Finally. She left without hugging me. I locked the door. I made tea. I didn't drink it. I sat with the silence again. It felt like someone had turned off a generator in the next room, a noise I'd tuned out until it stopped. Over the next week, the numbers changed. Missed calls, 23. Voicemails saved, 0. Text from Luke, 17. Then 0, after I set the filter to unknown senders. Amounts I didn't pay, $80,000, $1,200, $399, $67.12, $19.99. Amounts I did pay, $62 for groceries, $14 for a thrift store lamp, $29 for a bus fare because I decided to leave the car parked and walk. I started building a routine like a shelf. Work, run, cook, sleep, repeat. At work, I stopped volunteering for every emergency. I can do Tuesday, I told my boss instead of I can do whenever. He looked surprised, then nodded. Good, he said. Boundaries. At night, I read recipes. I made soup. I ate at the table with my phone in another room. I washed the pot and let it dry without rushing it with a towel. I went to bed before midnight. My sleep, tracked on my watch, clumsy technology that still felt like a gold star, went from 5:12 to 7:06 to 7:34. I didn't unblock Luke. I didn't call Mom. I didn't send a long text explaining myself. I didn't write a speech. I did nothing. That was the action. Nothing. On day 9, Dad called again. I get it, he said, his voice low. Do you? I asked. I was the first net, he said. Then I got tired. Then you were old enough. I'm tired, I said. I know, he said. I'm sorry. We sat in silence together, which was the closest we'd come to understanding in years. On day 11, a certified letter arrived. Luke's LLC had dissolved. The paper was bland and official. It didn't mention me. It didn't mention Santa. It just said, in government font, that something had ended. I placed the letter in a drawer and didn't close the drawer. I looked at it. I waited for guilt to rise like a tide. It didn't. What rose instead was something like air. A month later, I stopped counting missed calls. Mom sends shorter texts now. How are you? Dad's appointment, 3 p.m. We need to talk. I answer some, and not others. When I do answer, I use full sentences. I don't add money to the end of them. Luke hasn't reached out directly. I hear about him the way you hear about weather in a different state. A cousin posts a photo from a bar. He's in the corner, head down. A friend of a friend mentions he's consulting again. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. It's not my spreadsheet. I still think about Christmas morning. The line lands differently now. We don't buy things for ungrateful people. I'm not ungrateful. I'm grateful for the lesson. I'm grateful for the clarity it gave me. Like a light flipped on in a room I thought I knew. I kept one tradition. I bought myself a small gift in January, after rent cleared and the electric bill was paid. A decent pair of running shoes. They don't squeak. On my first run in them, I looped the park twice. The air hurt in that good way. I counted my breath. I didn't try to outpace the old noise. I just moved. When people talk about boundaries, they make it sound like a fence you build once and then admire. For me, it's more like a daily chore. I say no, and then I say no again when the ass comes back dressed in different clothes. I answer calls when I have the energy. I let them go when I don't. I delete the app that keeps me watching people live lives they're not living. I make dinner. I sleep. Sometimes I want to explain all of this to my family in a way that makes them nod and say, "Oh, of course. That makes sense." But they have their script. I'm not in this season. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I said it once to my brother in my living room. I say it to myself now, when the guilt tries to creep back wearing Mom's voice. Closure wasn't a slam. It was a click. A lock turning, because that's what locks are for. I didn't save Luke's business. I didn't rescue a holiday. I didn't buy my mother the feeling she wanted. I saved myself. I rescued my own January. I bought my own shoes. I won't co-sign my way into love again. I won't fund someone's hope to earn my place at the table. I won't be the background hump that keeps their show running while mine stays dark. I love my family. I'm just not their safety net anymore. I'm building my own life now. The boring way. One bill paid on time. One run. One dinner. One honest no. It's not dramatic. It's not tragic. It's just steady. And if you're wondering if Santa ever wrote back, he did, in a way. I wrote the letter. I sealed it. I put it in a drawer. I didn't ask for anything. I walked outside. The air was cold. The day was mine. Have you ever had to choose yourself, even when it felt like betraying your own family? What was your closure moment? Tell me about it in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your stories.